Breaking the limits. The UES Vanguard hung suspended in the vast orbital shipyards of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Unlike the utilitarian gray hulls of other Terran fleet vessels, the Vanguard's sleek obsidian surface seemed to drink in the light rather than reflect it. Its unconventional design, all smooth curves and impossible angles, made it look like an artifact from another civilization, or perhaps another time altogether. Captain Nikolai Volkov stood in the observation deck of the station, his weathered face illuminated by the distant glow of Saturn's rings. At 53, he was considered young for a command of this magnitude, but circumstances had accelerated many careers in the 14 years since humanity's disastrous first contact with the Sethiri Dominion. Beautiful, isn't she? The voice belonged to Dr. Takeshi Ishikawa, the theoretical physicist whose equations had made the Vanguard possible. Hard to believe we built her. The question isn't whether we built her, Doctor, Volkov replied, his Russian accent still faintly detectable despite decades in the unified Terran service. The question is whether she works. Ishikawa smiled. The simulations are conclusive. The temporal phase drive functions perfectly in all theoretical scenarios. Theoretical being the operative word, Volkov said. No offense, Doctor, but equations on a screen don't win wars. Which is precisely why we're here. Admiral Jun Wei approached from behind, her uniform adorned with the silver stars of Terran High Command. Despite being in her 70s, she moved with the purpose and energy of someone half her age. The Sethiri have pushed us back to Saturn. Earth's orbital defenses won't hold against another major assault. We're running out of options, Captain. Volkov nodded grimly. The war statistics were burned into his memory. 38 colonies lost, 17 billion human lives extinguished, the outer defense perimeter collapsed. The technologically superior Sethiri had methodically dismantled humanity's expansion into the stars piece by piece over the past decade. The Vanguard is our last hope, Admiral Wei continued. Not just a warship, but a leap forward that even the Sethiri haven't conceived. Dr. Ishikawa's temporal phase technology doesn't just bend the rules of conventional physics, it rewrites them entirely. Later that day, Volkov met his hand-picked crew on the Vanguard's command deck. Lieutenant Commander Zara Akafer, his tactical officer, was reviewing weapons systems with her characteristic meticulousness. Chief Engineer Darius Nazari was running final diagnostics on the experimental drive system, while communications specialist Freya Larson coordinated with the shipyard's departure control. Status report, Volkov ordered as he settled into the captain's chair, its neural interface humming softly as it synchronized with his implants. All systems nominal, Captain, reported Akafer, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. Phase cannons are calibrated and the quantum torpedo array is loaded and ready. Engineering reports the temporal drive is stable, added Nazari from his station. The exotic matter containment field is holding at 99.8% efficiency. That's not 100%, Volkov noted. Nazari smiled. Nothing in engineering is ever 100%, Captain. That's why they call it engineering. Departure clearance granted, Larson announced. Shipyard control has evacuated all personnel from our designated vector. Volkov took a deep breath. This moment had been coming for 5 years, since the day Admiral Wei had approached him with classified files about a project so secret that fewer than 50 people in the entire solar system knew of its existence. Disconnect umbilicals and power up main systems, he ordered. Let's see what this ship can do. The Vanguard detached from its berth with surprising grace for a vessel its size. At 600 meters in length, it was smaller than most Terran capital ships, a deliberate design choice to maximize the efficiency of its revolutionary systems. As they cleared the shipyard's safety perimeter, Volkov felt a subtle vibration through the deck plates, the conventional fusion drives propelling them away from Titan at a modest acceleration. What made the Vanguard special wasn't visible yet. Clear of traffic control zone, Larson reported. We can initiate phase testing at your command. Volkov exchanged glances with Dr. Ishikawa, who had joined them on the bridge for this crucial test. The physicist gave a slight nod. All hands secure for temporal phase transition, Volkov announced over the ship-wide comm, initiating in 30 seconds. The bridge crew worked with practiced precision, each having trained for years in simulations for this moment. Nazari's fingers flew across his engineering console, making minute adjustments to power distribution. Temporal field generators online, he reported. Field integrity at optimal parameters. 15 seconds to transition, the ship's AI announced, its androgynous voice calm and measured. Volkov felt his heart rate increase. If the theories were correct, the Vanguard was about to do something no human vessel had ever done, exist partially out of phase with normal spacetime. 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, initiating phase transition. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then Volkov noticed the stars visible through the view screen. They appeared to smear slightly, their light stretching into faint prismatic halos. Phase transition successful, Nazari announced, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. We're operating at a temporal dilation ratio of 15:1. What this meant in practical terms was that for every 15 seconds experienced by the outside universe, only 1 second passed aboard the Vanguard. The ship now existed in a bubble of altered spacetime, not quite in the present, not fully shifted to another timeframe. All systems functioning within parameters, Akafor reported. Weapons and defensive systems adapting to phase state. Dr. Ishikawa was staring at his data pad, tears glistening in his eyes. It works, he whispered. After all these years, it actually works. The implications were staggering. In combat, the Vanguard would move with seemingly impossible speed and precision, while its crew would have ample time to analyze and respond to enemy actions that would appear slowed down from their perspective. Increase power to the temporal field, Volkov ordered. Let's push it to ratio 20. As Nazari complied, the vibration beneath their feet increased slightly. The starfield outside contorted further, colors shifting toward the blue end of the spectrum. Ratio 20 achieved and stable, Nazari confirmed. Power consumption is within projected parameters. Volkov was about to order further tests when Larson suddenly straightened at her console. Captain, I'm detecting an unauthorized transmission from within the ship. Source, Volkov demanded, instantly alert. Deck 7's secondary engineering control. It's encrypted, sir, not using any Terran protocols I recognize. Volkov and Akafor exchanged grim looks. The implications were clear. Someone on board was communicating with an outside entity using non-standard encryption. There was only one conclusion: sabotage. Security team to Deck 7, Volkov ordered. Lieutenant Commander Akafor, you have the bridge, I'm going down there. Sir, Akafor protested, protocol dictates. I know what protocol dictates, Volkov cut her off. But this is my ship and I need to see this threat for myself. Minutes later, Volkov joined a 4-person security team outside the secondary engineering control room. The ship's internal sensors showed one occupant inside, Lieutenant Marcus Drake, one of the engineering specialists assigned to the temporal drive systems. On my mark, Volkov whispered, drawing his sidearm. 3, 2, 1. The security team breached the door, only to find Drake slumped over the console, a small device connected to the ship's systems. Blood pooled beneath him from a self-inflicted wound. He's dead, sir, the security chief reported after checking Drake's pulse. Volkov approached the console, examining the alien device. Its design was unmistakable Sci-Fi technology. Captain to bridge, he said into his comm. We have a situation, Lieutenant Drake was. His words were cut off by the ship's alert system. Multiple unidentified vessels detected on approach vector, the AI announced. Signature analysis confirms Sci-Fi configuration. How many? Volkov demanded, already rushing back toward the turbolift. 5 vessels, Akafor's voice replied over the comm. Scout class by the look of them, they've altered course directly toward us. They must have detected our phase transition. When Volkov returned to the bridge, the tactical display showed 5 Sci-Fi vessels approaching rapidly. The crystalline ships resembled angular, faceted gemstones, their surfaces refracting light in ways that often confused Terran sensors. They're charging weapons, Akafor reported. Standard dispersal pattern. It seems we'll be testing the Vanguard's combat capabilities sooner than expected, Volkov said grimly. Maintain temporal phase ratio. Bring weapon systems online but hold fire until my command. The 5 Sci-Fi ships spread out, attempting to surround the Vanguard. Under normal circumstances, this would be a devastating tactic against a single Terran vessel. They're following standard Sci-Fi engagement protocols, Akafor observed. They don't realize what we are. And that's our advantage, Volkov replied. Mr. Nazari pushed the temporal ratio to maximum sustainable level. That would be ratio 25, Captain, but it's never been tested beyond simulation. Consider this a field test then, Volkov said. Execute. As the temporal field intensified, the apparent motion of the Sethiri vessels slowed dramatically from the perspective of the Vanguard's crew. Energy beams from the lead ship crawled through space like syrup pouring from a bottle. Evasive pattern Delta, Volkov ordered calmly. Target the lead vessel's propulsion system with phase cannons. Fire when ready. The Vanguard moved with impossible agility, sliding between the incoming energy beams as if they weren't there. The phase cannons, weapons designed to exist partially out of phase with normal space, fired brilliant pulses of energy that bypassed the Sethiri vessel's formidable shields entirely. The effect was devastating. The lead Sethiri ship's propulsion crystal shattered, sending the vessel into an uncontrolled spin. Direct hit, Okafor confirmed, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice. Their shields never registered the attack. The phase cannons worked exactly as designed. The remaining Sethiri vessels reacted with visible confusion, adjusting their formation and firing patterns. But from within the temporal field, their responses seemed ponderous and predictable. Target the next vessel, Volkov ordered, same approach. Over the next few minutes, or rather, seconds from the perspective of the outside universe, the Vanguard systematically disabled 3 more Sethiri ships. The final vessel attempted to retreat, accelerating away at maximum thrust. Should we pursue, Captain? Larson asked. Volkov considered this. No, let it go. I want the Sethiri to know what happened here today. Let them wonder what they're facing now. As the disabled Sethiri vessels drifted helplessly, Volkov turned his attention back to the matter of the traitor. Begin a ship-wide security sweep. I want to know if Drake was working alone or if there are other infiltrators aboard. The search revealed something troubling in Drake's quarters, encrypted communications dating back months. More disturbing were the schematics found on his personal data storage, detailed plans of the Vanguard's temporal phase technology. He had been preparing to transmit the ship's most closely guarded secrets to the enemy. How did we miss this? Volkov demanded during the emergency briefing with his senior staff. Drake passed every security clearance, every psychological evaluation. The Sethiri have been refining their infiltration techniques. Admiral Wei's holographic image replied from Titan Base. Deep psychological conditioning, memory implants, Drake himself might not have been consciously aware of his mission until a trigger activated him. That doesn't explain how they knew we'd be testing the temporal drive today, Okafor pointed out. That information was classified at the highest level. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. The sabotage went higher than Drake, perhaps much higher. Someone in Terran High Command is compromised, Admiral Wei finally said, her voice tight with controlled anger. We need to assume the entire Vanguard project has been compromised. Which means the Sethiri will be coming in force once they realize what this ship can do, Volkov concluded. We need to move up the timetable. Admiral Wei nodded. Agreed. Your original mission was to conduct 3 weeks of testing before joining the defense fleet at Jupiter. That's no longer viable. What are you suggesting, Admiral? Volkov asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Intelligence reports indicate the Sethiri are massing for a major assault on the Nova Terra colony. Our conventional forces can't reach it in time, but with the Vanguard's capabilities. We're untested, Volkov pointed out. We just barely survived an encounter with 5 scout ships. And you disabled 4 of them without taking a single hit, Wei countered. Nova Terra has 3 million civilians, Captain. If it falls, it will be the worst single loss of human life since the Mars massacre. Volkov looked around at his crew. They were the best the Terran fleet had to offer, hand-selected for this revolutionary vessel. And now, ready or not, they were humanity's best hope. Set course for Nova Terra, he ordered. Maximum sustainable phase ratio, we have a colony to save. As the Vanguard accelerated toward its first real mission, Volkov couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading into something far more complex than a simple rescue operation. The sabotage, the conveniently timed Sethiri patrol, the intelligence leak, it all pointed to a deeper conspiracy. What they had built wasn't just a ship. It was a glimpse into a possible future where humanity could stand against the overwhelming technological superiority of the Sethiri. And clearly, someone or something wanted to ensure that future never came to pass. The true test of the Vanguard and its crew was just beginning, beyond tomorrow's horizon. The UES Vanguard streaked through the void, its temporal phase drive pushing the boundaries of physics as it raced toward Nova Terra. Within the ship's altered timeframe, Captain Nikolai Volkov stood in his ready room, studying the security recordings of Lieutenant Drake's final moments for the dozenth time. Something about the traitor's demeanor still bothered him, a strange serenity in his expression as he activated the Sethiri communication device. "Computer freeze frame," Volkov commanded. The image halted on Drake's face. "Enhance Sector 4 Alpha." As the image zoomed in on Drake's eyes, Volkov noticed a subtle iridescent sheen, almost imperceptible unless you knew exactly what to look for. The door chimed, interrupting his analysis. "Enter." Lieutenant Commander Zara Akafer stepped in, carrying a data tablet. "We've completed the security sweep, Captain. No additional Sethiri technology was found, but we've identified something concerning in the crew logs." She handed him the tablet, which displayed personnel transfer orders for 3 crew members, including Drake, all approved by the same flag officer, Vice Admiral Tiberius Blackwood. "Blackwood," Volkov murmured. He opposed the Vanguard project from the beginning, claimed it was diverting resources from conventional fleet expansion. "Sir, there's more," Akafer continued. "I ran a deep analysis on Drake's corneal implants. They contain Sethiri nanotech, the kind we've seen in captured prisoners who underwent cognitive restructuring." Volkov's expression darkened. "You're saying he wasn't just a traitor, he was being controlled." "Yes, sir, and if they could get to Drake." "They could get to anyone," Volkov finished, "including Blackwood himself." The ship's AI interrupted their conversation. "Captain Volkov to the bridge, hyperspace transition in 5 minutes." On the bridge, Chief Engineer Nazari was making final adjustments to the temporal field as they prepared to enter hyperspace, the dimensional shortcut that made interstellar travel possible. "Status report," Volkov ordered as he took the command chair. "All systems operating at optimal capacity," Nazari reported. "We've stabilized the temporal ratio at 22:1. Any higher risks interference with the hyperspace field." "Communications Officer Larson, send a tight beam transmission to Terran High Command," Volkov instructed. "Security Protocol Zeta-9, include our findings on Drake and the possible compromise of Vice Admiral Blackwood." "Transmission away, sir," Larson confirmed moments later. "But we won't receive confirmation once we enter hyperspace." "Understood, Helm, initiate hyperspace transition." The viewscreen shifted as the Vanguard pierced the boundary between normal space and the swirling dimensional corridor of hyperspace. Unlike the chaotic purple-black maelstrom that most ships experienced in this realm, the Vanguard's temporal field created a strange interaction. Hyperspace appeared almost crystalline, with geometrically perfect patterns flowing past the ship. "Fascinating," Dr. Ishikawa remarked, studying the sensor readings. "The temporal field is creating a stabilizing effect on the hyperspace matrix. We're achieving 30% greater travel efficiency than projected. Which means we'll reach Nova Terra in approximately 6 hours instead of 9, Nazari added. The unexpected efficiency was welcome news, but Volkov remained troubled by the security breach. If the Sethiri had infiltrated Terran High Command, how many other operations had been compromised? And more immediately, what were they flying into at Nova Terra? 4 hours into their hyperspace journey, the ship's sensors detected something unusual. "Captain, I'm reading a spatial anomaly directly ahead," reported Navigation Officer Henrik Venturi. "It doesn't match any known hyperspace phenomenon." The view screen showed a strange distortion in the crystalline patterns of hyperspace, a spherical region approximately 2 kilometers in diameter, where the fabric of the dimension seemed to fold inward upon itself. "Analysis?" Volkov asked. Dr. Ishikawa was already working with the science team. "It appears to be some kind of temporal knot. The readings suggest it's a region where hyperspace and normal space are interacting with a third-dimensional state we've never documented before." "Can we navigate around it?" Volkov asked. "Negative, sir," Venturi replied. "It's expanding to intersect our course no matter what adjustments I make. It's almost as if it's targeting us specifically," Volkov finished. Yellow alert, all hands to stations. Strengthen forward shields and prepare for potential emergency return to normal space. As they approached the anomaly, the Vanguard began to shudder. The temporal field fluctuated, causing brief moments where the crew experienced time at different rates across the ship. Temporal field destabilizing, Nazari reported, his fingers dancing across his console. The anomaly is somehow resonating with our phase technology. Options, Volkov demanded. Dr. Ishikawa spoke up. We could try to harmonize our field with the anomaly, essentially sync with its frequency rather than resist it. That's theoretical at best, Nazari objected. This entire ship is theoretical, Commander, Volkov reminded him. Do it. As Nazari recalibrated the temporal field, the Vanguard's shuddering intensified. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. Harmonic convergence in 3, 2, 1, Nazari counted down. A blinding flash of light enveloped the bridge. When it faded, the viewscreen showed not the crystalline patterns of hyperspace, but normal space, stars shining steadily against the void. Status report, Volkov ordered, blinking away the afterimage. All systems functional, Akafor reported. Minor damage to secondary systems. No casualties reported. Where are we? Volkov asked. Venturi worked his navigation console. According to stellar cartography, we're in the Nova Terra system, sir. Somehow we've bypassed the remaining hyperspace distance. That's impossible, Nazari muttered. We should still be 4 hours out. Sensor scan, Volkov ordered. Find me Nova Terra and the Sethiri fleet. The results came back moments later and they were puzzling. Nova Terra appeared on their scanners, its blue-green surface peaceful. There was no sign of a Sethiri invasion fleet. No Sethiri vessels detected within sensor range, Akafor confirmed. Colony defenses appear intact. No signs of combat. Volkov frowned. Communications hail the colony. Larson attempted to establish contact but shook her head. No response on standard frequencies, sir. Wait, I'm picking up something unusual. It appears to be a Terran emergency beacon, but it's using an outdated protocol I don't recognize. Azores. An object in high orbit around the planet's second moon. Sir, it appears to be a structure of some kind, not natural. The viewscreen shifted to show an enormous construct suspended in space near Nova Terra's smaller moon. It resembled nothing in the Terran or Sethiri architectural database. A massive ring-shaped structure with geometrically impossible spires extending inward, creating a web-like pattern that seemed to defy conventional three-dimensional space. Magnify, Volkov ordered. As the image enhanced, they could see that parts of the structure bore markings similar to ancient Terran writing systems, but far more complex. That's not Sethiri technology, Dr. Ishikawa stated with absolute certainty. The energy signature is completely unlike anything we've encountered before. The beacon, Volkov prompted. Coming from what appears to be a docking bay, Larson replied. Sir, the timestamp on the beacon, it can't be correct. What does it say, Lieutenant? Larson looked up, her face pale. According to the beacon's internal clock, it was activated 75 years ago. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Check our chronometers against Nova Terra's planetary rotation and orbital position, Volkov ordered. Venturi worked his console, then rechecked his calculations 3 times before responding. Sir, based on astronomical positioning, the current date is March 17, 2297. That's impossible, Akafor said. Our departure date was September 5, 2222. Volkov's mind raced with the implications. The temporal field interacting with the hyperspace anomaly. Could it have pushed us forward in time? Theoretically, Dr. Ishikawa admitted. Our field already manipulates the flow of time if it interacted with another temporal phenomenon. We've jumped 75 years into the future, Volkov stated flatly. What about the Sethiri invasion, the colony? Scanning historical databases on Nova Terra, Larson reported. After a moment, she looked up in confusion. Sir, according to local records, there was no Sethiri attack on Nova Terra in 2222. The colony has been peaceful for decades. That's not possible, Volkov insisted. Admiral Wei's intelligence was specific. The Sethiri were massing for an attack. Or that's what someone wanted us to believe, Akafor suggested. Remember Drake, the sabotage. What if the entire mission was fabricated to get the Vanguard away from Earth? Before Volkov could process this disturbing possibility, Nazari called out from his station. Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures from the alien structure. It's powering up. Shields, Volkov ordered. But instead of attacking, the structure emitted a tightly focused beam that swept over the Vanguard, scanning rather than harming. It's a recognition protocol, Dr. Ishikawa realized, studying the readings. The structure is analyzing our temporal field technology. The scan completed, and a communication channel opened automatically. This is Captain Nikolai Volkov of the UES Vanguard, Volkov announced. Identify yourself. The viewscreen flickered, revealing a humanoid figure whose features were oddly fluid, as if not entirely anchored in three-dimensional space. When it spoke, its voice resonated with harmonic undertones that seemed to bypass the ship's audio systems and vibrate directly in their minds. We have been waiting for you, Vanguard. Your arrival was predicted, the entity said. I am Kronos, custodian of the temporal nexus. You have questions. Come aboard and you will find answers. After a brief discussion with his senior staff, Volkov decided to lead a small away team to the structure. With Dr. Ishikawa, Commander Okafor, and two security officers, they took a shuttle to the massive alien construct. Inside, they found corridors that seemed to shift and reconfigure as they moved through them, eventually leading to a vast chamber where multiple timelines were visibly represented, as streams of light converging and diverging. Kronos was waiting for them. Up close, the entity appeared even more unsettling, its form rippling with chronometric energy, existing simultaneously in multiple states of being. You have crossed 75 years of linear time, Kronos stated, but that is merely a symptom of a greater disruption. The technology you call the temporal phase drive has created ripples across the continuum. Are you saying our ship damaged the time stream? Volkov asked. Not damaged, altered. There are those who would use such alterations for their own purposes. Dr. Ishikawa stepped forward, the scifi. The beings you know as scifi are merely tools, Kronos replied. The true architects of conflict exist beyond your perception, entities that feed on temporal discord and war. Kronos revealed a stunning truth. The war between humans and the scifi had been engineered by transdimensional beings called the Chronovorus, who consumed the potential energy created when civilizations destroyed each other. The Vanguard's development had been an unexpected variable, a technology that could disrupt their feeding. Your ship represents the first step toward humanity's temporal ascension, Kronos explained. The Chronovorus manipulated your Admiral Blackwood, creating the false intelligence about an attack on Nova Terra to lure you away. Away from what? Volkov demanded. Earth, Kronos replied simply. In your original timeline, while the Vanguard was diverted, the Chronovorus orchestrated a massive scifi attack on Earth itself. Without the Vanguard's intervention, the planet fell. Human civilization collapsed. The revelation hit Volkov like a physical blow. Then we failed, Earth is gone. That timeline exists, Kronos acknowledged. But it is not fixed. The temporal nexus exists across all potential timelines. With our guidance, you can return to your proper time with knowledge and technology to prevent Earth's fall. Over the next several hours, Kronos showed them how to enhance the Vanguard's temporal systems with technology from the Nexus. The modifications would allow the ship not only to manipulate the flow of time, but to navigate between timelines, to return to the critical moment before Earth's destruction. There is a cost, Kronos warned as they prepared to depart. The enhanced temporal drive will be unstable. Using it to return and alter the timeline will likely destroy the Vanguard itself. A ship for a world, Volkov said grimly. That's a trade any captain would make. Back aboard the Vanguard, the engineering team worked feverishly to integrate the Nexus technology. The ship's systems pulsed with new energy as the enhanced temporal drive came online. The coordinates are set, Nazari reported from engineering. We can create a temporal reversion field that will take us back to September 7, 2222, 2 days after our original departure. That gives us approximately 10 hours before the scifi fleet reaches Earth. All hands battle stations, Volkov ordered. This will be the Vanguard's final mission. We're going home to save Earth. The enhanced drive activated, enveloping the ship in a sphere of scintillating energy. The fabric of reality itself seemed to fold around them as the Vanguard tore through the barriers between timelines. The transition was violent. Systems overloaded across the ship, but they held together long enough to emerge in normal space near Earth on the date specified. And there, arrayed before them, was the largest Sethiri fleet they had ever encountered, over 200 warships preparing to attack humanity's homeworld. "They've detected us," Akafor reported. "Sethiri vessels altering formation to engage." Earth's defense fleet was mobilizing, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Without the Vanguard's intervention, the outcome was certain. "Open a channel to Terran High Command," Volkov ordered. "Priority Alpha." Admiral Wei's face appeared on the view screen, shock evident in her expression. "Vanguard, you're supposed to be en route to Nova Terra." "There is no Sethiri attack on Nova Terra, Admiral," Volkov stated. "It was misinformation planted by Vice Admiral Blackwood, who has been compromised. The real target is Earth, and the attack is happening now." As Wei processed this information, Volkov transmitted all they had learned about the Chronovorus and their manipulation of the conflict. "We have modifications to our temporal systems that can end this," Volkov continued. "But we need the defense fleet to give us an opening to the Sethiri command ship." Understanding the gravity of the situation, Admiral Wei immediately reorganized Earth's defenses to support the Vanguard's assault. What followed was the most one-sided battle in the history of the war, but not in the way anyone would have predicted. The Vanguard, operating with its enhanced temporal field at maximum power, moved through the Sethiri fleet like a ghost. Conventional weapons couldn't track it, while its phase cannons bypassed Sethiri defenses entirely. The Vanguard systems were failing with each maneuver, the enhanced drive consuming itself as Kronos had warned. But it carved a path through the enemy armada, disabling ship after ship as it approached the massive crystalline structure at the fleet's center, the Sethiri command vessel. "Engineering to bridge," Nazari's voice came over the comm, strained over the sound of failing systems. "The temporal core is reaching critical instability. We have minutes at most before catastrophic failure." "Understood," Volkov replied calmly. "Get to the escape pods. That's an order for all non-essential personnel." But no one moved from their stations. "With respect, Captain," Akafor said, speaking for the crew, "we started this mission together. We'll finish it together." Volkov nodded, pride overwhelming him despite the dire circumstances. "Target the Sethiri command ship's central crystal matrix. Prepare to overload our temporal core on impact." The Vanguard accelerated toward the massive enemy vessel, its temporal field creating a distortion bubble that warped space around it. The Sethiri commanders, recognizing the threat too late, attempted to withdraw their flagship, but the Vanguard was moving outside normal time. "Impact in 10 seconds, Venturi announced. 9-8. Volkov looked around at his crew, the finest officers he had ever served with. "It has been my honor," he said simply. 7-6-5. Throughout the ship, crew members stood at their posts, resolute in their final moments. 4-3-2. "For Earth," Volkov said. 1. The Vanguard collided with the Sethiri command ship, its destabilizing temporal core releasing all its energy at once. The resulting temporal implosion created a cascade effect that rippled through both fleets, but while Terran vessels merely lost power temporarily, every Sethiri ship within the fleet suddenly aged centuries in seconds, their crystalline structures degrading and crumbling as if they had been adrift for millennia. From the bridge of the Terran defense platform, Admiral Wei watched in awe as the entire Sethiri armada disintegrated before her eyes. The Vanguard was gone, sacrificed in the detonation, but it had taken the enemy with it. In the aftermath, humanity discovered something extraordinary. The temporal implosion had severed the Chronovorus connection to our dimension. Without their influence, the Sethiri civilization sent peace envoys within weeks, revealing that they too had been manipulated into war. The technology recovered from the wreckage of the Vanguard ushered in a new era for humanity. The theoretical framework developed by Dr. Ishikawa, combined with what they had learned from Kronos, led to advances that transformed human civilization. 1 year after the battle, a memorial was unveiled in orbit where the Vanguard had made its final stand. It bore a simple inscription. UES Vanguard. A ship not built for today but for centuries ahead. Through their sacrifice, we found tomorrow. As delegations from Earth and the former Setheri worlds gathered to commemorate the end of the war, few noticed a strange distortion in space nearby. A ripple in reality where, for just a moment, the silhouette of a sleek obsidian vessel could almost be seen, as if watching from another time. For the Vanguard had not been destroyed, not exactly. In giving everything to save their world, its crew had been scattered across the time stream, becoming part of the temporal fabric itself. And somewhere, somewhen, they were still out there, guardians of time, ensuring that the future they had sacrificed everything to create would endure. The ship that had been built centuries ahead of its time had become timeless itself, a legend that would inspire humanity for generations to come. As they took their first steps into a cosmic community they never would have known without the Vanguard's final mission.